What's up, everybody? We are here for another episode of Now You Know. Today we have a very special guest of our presenting sponsor, Island Auto Group. He is the SVP for the group, handles everything from sales to some service to every headache in between. He's been in the industry for, I believe, almost 100 years now. His name is Mike Bobson, and I'm sure a lot of you know him, and he is here today. Mike, welcome to the show, my man.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. It's certainly good to be here.
So is it 100 years you've been in the industry?
It's just about.
No, really.
Feels
How
like
many
it.
years have you been in this
It's
industry?
in 25, it'll be 40.
Wow.
40 years, yeah.
Is that a crazy thing to think
That
about?
is a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
so you've been in it since, this is the only thing you've done.
No,
Okay. So
no,
what,
actually it's not.
So what did you do before the
well,
industry?
I'd worked in pharmacies when I was a kid, so I was going to be a pharmacist.
Really?
I went to LIU, and I took a biology test with one of the least favorite teachers.
Yeah.
Everyone failed. I said, I'm out. Went to Florida for a little bit. Then wandered into Kings Plaza Mall.
Okay.
Just shirts. I don't even know if they're still in business. I was looking for a job.
Sure.
And as soon as I come in, somebody comes out and says, I can't believe you just walked in. We were looking for an assistant manager. I was 18 years old. And I said, sure. So I was there a few years, got into clothing, enjoyed it. Got actually a job in a high-end clothing store in Forest Hills,
Okay.
which was crazy.
A lot of crazy clientele.
Well, what was crazy is, this will probably sound egotistical. I don't know if I should say it, but I started as a part-time employee. Within a week, they put me to full-time. And I'll never forget, on a Saturday, I just had a knack for sales. You know, I think I'm a studying people. I just love to study people. And I think from when I was a kid, a lot of love in the family, but a lot of stuff going on.
Sure.
So I did that. And then that was my crazy. That was a little while
What about
back
the Saturday?
The Saturday, one of the owners, there were two owners, and one of very wealthy. I mean, suits at that. So we're talking about 81, I guess, 81, 82.
So what are these, like Brioni suits? Stuff
It was,
like
your shirts were, you had Armani, you had Marzotto.
Yeah.
You had shirts that were $1.25. They used to tailor, and
You had
suits
the-
were like
the-
$600.
the letters on the sleeves.
You had everything, man.
Yeah.
And sweaters were $500. I mean, and I don't even know how I did it. And one Saturday, one of the owners come up and goes, you know how much you sold? And I said, yeah, I do. He said, we sold about $3,400 worth of stuff, and I think it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was just one of those things. But it was my wild and crazy days. So go
you
ahead.
knew from there you were meant for sales.
Yeah, I actually I helped my mom in a flea market booth. I was 9 years old, and I just felt a knack for it.
What was she selling?
Sweaters and toys, strangely enough.
That is
Odd
funny.
combo, but yeah, she would do that on the weekends, and I don't know, something I enjoy. So then I would assume you're going to ask me how I got in the car business.
That is correct.
So I'm going to save you the question.
So how did it go from flea markets to high-end suit stores to now the car business?
Well, like I say, it was some of my wild times, and would stay out late. And I remember one day I showed up late for work.
Okay.
And that was either the second or third time. I was taking buses and trains to get there. I was living in Brooklyn.
Enough is enough.
Well, he said, listen, Mike, I'm going to have to do this, but just for a little while. Don't worry about it. I'm going to put you back to part-time because you came in late, and then you get to full-time really soon. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I said, but I'm okay. And I left.
Wow.
Yeah, it was no problem. I actually ran into him many years later at
Was
Manhattan
was
Jeep
he an
as a
older
customer.
gentleman or a peer?
Yeah, they were both older. Both older.
Okay.
No problem. Never burned a bridge in my life.
You ended up selling him cars.
Well, one day, so I don't remember what I was doing. Oh, how can I forget? I was working in my grandmother, may she rest in peace, was working in a dress shop, Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, and there was an electronic jewelry store / jewelry, strange. And they were opening a sneaker store on Kings Highway.
Okay.
And they needed somebody there. So I take I guess, an interview, get the job. So I met 3 of my great friends that we've stayed in touch, and we're very close for all these years. My buddy Al, his brother Patrick, and my friend Sid. And we
At this,
at the sneaker store.
Al's like a brother to you.
Al's like a brother to me. So is Pat and Sid. I can't even tell you what that job was like.
Like bad or good?
It was fantastic. I
Really?
mean, here we were, 3 young guys,
Wow.
in crazy shape, girls all over the. I mean, it was
Right.
it was unbelievable. It was a few years, and then it got to a point where, it was a lot of fun, not a lot of money.
Right. The upside just wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2 years, and I don't
Sure.
think we could even take it anymore.
Yeah.
So, I remember my buddy Richie was. I had my own place at 19. So my friend Richie was over. He said, actually called me. And he said, hey, do you mind if my friend Richie started selling cars a few months prior. He said, hey, do you mind if I bring my friend John over, to hang out for a little bit? My apartment. I said, sure. More the merrier. Brings John over. And we're still friends to this day as well. John DePello, great friend. And he says, hey, why don't you sell cars? And I don't know what I could say on this, but I said, I'm not going to sell cars.
Right. You can curse, by the way.
A couple months later, I was selling cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
who were you selling cars for?
At the time, it wasn't as easy to get in as it became later, and then it got a little more difficult, I guess. So I was at a Chrysler.
Did John get you in?
Well, Richie actually got me in.
Okay. So
Richie got me in
Gotcha.
to a Chrysler store.
Gotcha.
It was called World Chrysler on Flatbush Avenue.
Okay.
I'll never forget. This is my introduction to the car business. So now here I am, 22 years old. I don't know anything. And I remember we're made friends. Like you had to have, you didn't get trained. I mean, some guys to this day don't, but you didn't get training. You had to latch on to a senior salesperson who would have you run his errands, and if he liked you, he'd teach you stuff. That's kind of how it went.
Yep.
So I remember one day there was an older, at that time he was probably in his 40s, salesman, and we had conversion vans, the vans that they build up.
Sure.
So I remember he's in the conversion van, the salesman, and he falls asleep in the conversion van. Okay.
It's a good place to nap.
The owner, name was Phil Black. I see him walk up to the van with a camera. We didn't have camera phones, right?
Yeah, it took like 2 weeks to develop the picture.
Right. Takes a picture, flash wakes the guy up, and he says, I just want to have something to remember you by. You're fired. And I said, ooh, I like this. This is cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong move.
So I'm there for maybe a month and change. Then I moved to, Richie brings me through the ranks. I moved to a better Chrysler store, which was Cameo Chrysler on 86th Street in Brooklyn.
Why Chrysler again? You just were comfortable with the product?
It was a busier store. So I was just trying to really get my...
Did Phil own that store too?
No.
Okay.
No. That was Leon Moss, I believe his name was. They had a Jaguar also. It was Chrysler Jaguar, strangely enough.
Wow, okay.
So,
That is strange.
So I'm there, met some crazy folks, learned a lot of stuff. And then finally, Richie was able to get me into an import. And in those days, we're talking about 1985.
Import was the thing?
Import was the thing. And it was Mitsubishi.
Wow.
And
where was this dealership?
This was Bay Ridge Mitsubishi on 65th Street.
That was a hot car for a while, by the way, Mitsubishi.
We
Diamante,
smoked it, man.
Eclipse,
Smoked it.
3000 GT.
Great. So, man, this was even before
Right.
This was Cordias and Tredias that were carburetor cars. I remember they were like I think new car MSRP was like $7,700-$7,800.
Are you serious?
The Galant was 11,400.
Were they
and
good
that was
cars?
loaded. Yeah, they were actually good cars.
Okay.
They were good cars, but we were the dinosaurs of the Japanese cars, because you would have Toyota, you would have Honda, you'd have Nissan, and one of the things with Mitsu, beside the carburetors, was they wouldn't have counterbalanced hoods, so you actually had the props, and everyone else had right. So, and I did a lot of study in sales. I mean, a lot of study, and I was very into it.
Read books?
Yeah. Yeah, Tom Hopkins was my favorite. How to Master the Art of Selling.
Really?
I must have recommended it to thousands of people.
Wow.
That I had trained.
You were an influencer back before there were influencers.
Listen, I just want to make the world a better place, man.
Yeah.
When I leave and make people better, that's really
Right.
what I'm about.
You do like to learn too.
I love to learn.
I've seen that about you.
Yeah, I love to learn.
So you're at Chrysler now.
So
right?
now I'm at Mitsu.
I'm sorry, you're at Mitsu now. So
Right.
two Chrysler stints. You go to Mitsubishi.
So people would come in,
Mm-hmm.
right, and we were the dinosaur. So I said, how am I going to make this to our advantage? Now, one of the things we heard was Mitsubishi would make the sheet metal for a lot of Japanese manufacturers. So, so what I would do is I would say, you know, a family would come in, and I would say to the father, I'd say, come here, I want to show you something. You know, we manufacture the sheet metal for a lot of the Japanese cars. I said, I want you to feel something. I would take the hood, which weighed 40,000 pounds because it wasn't counterbalanced. I'd say, it's heavy now. Drop in his hands and say, that's the kind of car you want your family in.
Wow. Would you do that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And did it work?
Smoked it, man. Smoked it.
Wow.
Smoked it.
How many cars per month were you
Well,
selling back then?
it's funny because my first full month in the business, I sold 37 and a half. I missed the record by half a car. And
That's a lot of cars. But people who don't know, that's a lot.
it was a lot of cars back
That's
then.
a lot.
Yeah. And listen, to this day, my belief is service. You know, you sell somebody a car, that's the first step. You know, and they always used to tell you, and you know, until you understand, you don't believe it. It's not about, and back then you didn't have internet.
Right.
So it's not about people coming into the store. It's about referrals from the people
Yeah,
that would
after
come
they
that
leave,
you would
what
sell a car
happens?
to.
Right.
And to this day, I tell everybody, so listen, when new salespeople will come in, and sometimes I'll, you know, give them a couple of tips and stuff. And I would say one of the things that you got to do if you want to be successful in this business, number one, you don't lie. And number two, when you deliver that car and that customer has a problem, you better take care of it right away. And you know how it is. You buy stuff, furniture, whatever.
Sure.
You're running after people,
Yes.
you know, and that's how you build your business.
So now you went to Mitsubishi.
I went to
Until what
Mitsubishi.
year?
87, I guess it was, 87, 88.
Next stop?
Next stop was Manhattan Jeep.
Ooh.
Okay, so next stop was Manhattan Jeep. And you couldn't get into Manhattan Jeep. And as Marcello said in the previous podcast, they were, I mean, tremendous Jeep dealership. Tremendous. So I knew I had to know somebody
Did you want
to know
go
somebody.
back to Jeep? Or
Well, I was never with Jeep at that. Now we're talking
okay, right,
about
'cause
I'm new in
Chrysler
the
and
business
Jeep
at
were
this
separate.
point.
Right.
And people, it was Manhattan.
Right. But
People
why did
would-
you leave Mitsubishi, by the way? If
Because
you
I-
were crushing it, it was just you were done.
Because
or?
it was more opportunity. Yeah, it was, you know,
Yeah.
when someone told, it was actually a friend of John, my buddy John's I was talking about, when they had, I forgot who, you got stuff coming out of here?
Yeah.
I forgot who mentioned it, but somebody said, you know, Manhattan Jeep is, if you want to get in. And they said, you just, it's what you'll make there. I said, sure, I want to get in, you know. So yeah, so they get me an interview, I get in. And you didn't even have desks. It was so crazy back then that the new people had no desks.
Really?
Yeah. So, funny story how I ended up leaving. I was only there a few months.
Right.
And it was great.
Okay.
So, you know, we had demos then as salespeople. So I'm in a demo. It was an Eagle Premier. Give you an idea how long that was.
I remember.
And they sell my demo. And, you know, today we do spots, right? Spotting means somebody comes in to buy a car, they drive it home. In the days, it was Jersey only. You couldn't do it in New York because of insurance reasons, whatever. So it took them a week to deliver my car. So they put me in some used Jeep something or other. I was commuting back and forth from Brooklyn. Car wouldn't go over 40 miles an hour. So I'm like, okay. So now finally they deliver my car. I'm ready to get my new car. I can't find it. So in Manhattan, all the cars were inside the building.
Wow. How big was this building?
It's 5 floors. I'm sorry, first floor, second floor was service, 3, 4, and 5 were inventory.
Storage. Wow.
Storage, yeah.
That's
You had to do that.
Right.
You know.
You can't park on the street.
You can't park in the street.
Right.
So I can't find this car. And I'm like, I'm done driving 40 miles an hour. So the general manager, David Marzullo, who actually, strangely enough, came back when Marcello and I were there as a service advisor,
Really?
completely forgot the story, which you'll hear the story, completely,
Okay.
supposedly forgot it. So anyway, so I go to Dave, Dave, I can't find this car. So he says to me, he goes, you know, you in this demo, meaning me in a demo, I didn't say a word about it, and I'm driving this piece of junk for a week. He goes, I'll make you a deal. If I find it, can I fire you? Now, Dave was known as a chop breaker. That was his thing, right? Looked like Pee Wee Herman. Funniest thing. Used to do the dance and everything. So he says, yeah, if I'll make you a deal. If I find it, can I fire you? So I turn around. I walk back to the desk that I was sharing with 3 other people. And I walk back and I say, Dave, I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal. If you find the demo, you can fire me. If you don't find the demo, I'm going to punch you in your face. How about that?
Come on.
Yeah. So needless to say, that was the end of that job. But I actually made friends with the 2 finance guys. They actually worked for a finance company.
Oh, my God.
And they were like, Mike, and I became friendly. They go, Mike, you're a great salesman. Would you want to do finance? I go, sure. So then I got into finance at that point.
But I thought you were at Manhattan Jeep for a while.
Well, came back in 98.
There is the comeback.
Yeah, there was a comeback.
Okay.
Dave Mazzullo long gone, but then a few years later he came as a service.
So you leave Pee Wee's
I leave
house.
Pee Wee. I leave Pee Wee. I'm going to become a... So
you do finance for... what?
I'm going to sound like a PIA, but... So I meet this guy, Bob Lamb, who owned Aftermarket Dynamics, finance company way out on the island.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. So he had his little training or whatever, and he had a whole stable of guys that were just staying there. Within a day, he says, hey, I got an opportunity in Red Bank, New Jersey, in a Cadillac Oldsmobile store.
It's far.
You want to do it? I'm like, yeah, sure, I want to do it. Right? So now I'm driving from Brooklyn to Red Bank, New Jersey. I've had a lot of commutes in my day, right?
Yeah, for real.
So I just had one. So I'm there for a day, nothing. No custom. Now, in this place, there was 2 of us. I was doing aftermarket sales, which were alarms and rust proofing and stuff at the time. And then there was a finance guy who did finance and warranties. So the second day, customer finally makes a deal. I sit with them, sell them the whole package, all the stuff. And then by the time it gets through the finance manager, I find out that they negotiated half my package away. Now, I'm not stupid. So I talked to Bob, the owner of the company. I said, Bob, this is what happened. He says, nah, we'll make it right. Don't worry, we'll fix it. I know I sound hot-headed. I was, I guess. And I said, Bob, with all due respect, either you respect what I say or you don't, but I'm not going to work here. He goes, I guess I don't. I said, no problem. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm home, jobless.
Wow.
The crazy thing was within a few days, he calls me. And he says, hey, Mike. And it was really nice for him to do it. Really nice for him. He says, there's a dealer on Staten Island, Joe Manfredi. He owns a bunch of stores.
No way.
He says, we can't come to terms on the percentage. He needs a finance guy. Why don't you see him? See if you can get a job for yourself. I said, Bob, I really appreciate it, man. Sure enough, I BS'd my way that I had all this experience in finance, which I didn't. I get the job and then was there for a few years.
So you worked for Manfredi?
I did.
Which was, predecessor really to a lot of these dealerships.
Oh, yeah.
So you worked for Manfredi doing finance?
Doing finance.
How'd you do?
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It was great.
How were they?
It was so great that he just hated me because I was making too much money.
Is that actually true?
Yeah. And one of the things Joe would say, may he rest in peace, when he would interview you is, I never play with your money. I never touch your money, whatever. He doesn't touch your money, just tortures you.
Right.
So,
okay.
But we were there for a couple of years, and that was it was a great gig. Met a lot of nice people, and that was my first experience on Staten Island.
Wow. So you were there for a while, and then is that from Staten Island? That's when you went back to Manhattan Jeep? Or was there
there were a couple other stops along the way.
So you're in Westchester.
So I'm in Westchester doing finance. And then it got to a point I didn't want to do finance anymore.
Why?
I wanted to go to the front of the house.
So let me ask you a question, because a lot of people listening and watching are in the industry.
Hello, everybody.
So is there more upside in doing sales than finance? Is there a reason why some people would potentially prefer finance to sales? How does that work?
Well, I have a friend of mine, my friend Tommy McGinnis, great guy, good friend, beautiful person, nice family, great kid, and tremendously talented finance person. Doesn't want to do anything else. I had another friend of mine, TK, doesn't want to do anything else. The difference is, when you're a finance manager, you're doing your own thing, right? So you're taking the deals and you're handling the customer. And you've really, I mean, aside from whether the salesperson maybe doesn't really button up all things that they need to button up by the time it comes to you, you're really doing your own thing as a sales manager now. And then obviously, so how it goes, sales manager, general manager. It's now you're running a floor. So it's a lot different. Now you're training people. Now you're responsible for what the floor does.
Is your upside though in finance obviously limited compared to sales, or are you getting a percentage of on finance
Do
managing
you mean
too?
money or do
Yeah,
you
money.
mean opportunity?
I mean money.
It depends. I mean, every place is different.
Okay.
Some places finance will make more than sales managers, or
Right.
even GSM. Some places they don't.
Right.
You know, everybody's different. But for me, it was a matter of what I wanted to do. I wanted to train. You know, for me, one of my big joys is training. So that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So when I was in Westchester, I actually made that move to sales manager. Okay. And
What type of dealership was that?
Chrysler Jeep. They had Dodge and then they had Mazda. Yeah, so I did that. And then I got some experience, and you know, I wanted to go back to Manhattan. I wanted to fix what was wrong. I wanted to make it right in my life. I saw an ad from them.
Do you have kids at
answered
this
the ad.
point, by the way?
Oh yes, Ariel, my light of my life. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
It's
how
actually
old-
her birthday today. She's 32.
Wow, happy birthday, Ariel.
Yeah. So I have.
Is that weird having a 32-year-old?
It is.
Yeah.
Two lights in my life. I have Ariel and I have Indira, my wife. Beautiful.
Wow.
Very fortunate.
That's awesome.
My two girls, yeah. So I did have Ariel. And it's funny you ask, which I'll get to in a second. So I answered the ad. I go down and they were trying desperate. Dave Moninger, who was the owner's son. So I'd worked for John Moninger in my first
I
run
think
around.
Marcello
Right.
mentioned the Mongers.
Yeah, great people.
Yeah.
Great, just good people. So John now was, you know, he's coming in a few days a week, but now his sons, David, Patrick, and he had a son, Jeff.
It's
Jeff
time for
ran
the takeover for the
Jersey
Monger Juniors.
Yeah. He said, but these were kids that knew a lot of kids don't know but they knew the business.
Okay.
Jeff was in Jersey. He did his thing, and Dave and Pat were in Manhattan. So I interviewed with Dave, and he wanted desperately to make me a finance manager, and I said, I don't want to do that anymore.
These are peers, though, right? At this point, they're around your age.
No, actually, no. David was younger than I. So,
Okay.
yeah, Dave was younger. So it was 98, 6 years. Yeah, I would say maybe 5, 6 years, just for lack of
Okay,
remembering.
right-
but he
right
was
there.
young.
Yeah.
They were both younger. So, I say I'm not doing finance. I want to be a sales manager. That's what I want to do. That's what the ad was, and that's the only thing I want to do. So he goes, all right. He goes, you know, my father wants to talk to you for a minute. Okay. So I don't know if John remembered, but in his graciousness, gracious guy, classy guy, in his graciousness, he made believe like he did. Who knows if he did? So he took me upstairs, and what we would do and what he taught us to do is go through the cars every day, go through the floors, just walk around, check things, which are very smart. So I just walked them up. We BS'd a few minutes. That was it. So they said, oh, we'll let you know. So I go home, and then the next day I get the call.
Did you know you were going to get the call? Honestly, did you leave there
No,
saying...
I actually thought I wasn't.
Really?
I thought I wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't remember why I thought I wasn't, but
Yeah.
I thought I wasn't. But one of the things that, because Ariel was living with her mom in Georgia at the time,
Okay.
her mother, my ex-wife Emily, wanted to become a chiropractor, and she was, long story, but, you know, for the betterment of everyone, I think that she get her chiropractic degree.
Okay.
So part of what the deal was I said, guys, every 6 to 8 weeks, I said, I'm going to be with my daughter for a few days. And that was the deal. They never had done it. Whether there, what I ended up doing was flying her in.
How old was she at the time?
So we're talking about, so she was from 6, 7,
Wow.
in
Okay.
in that range. And she would fly on a company minor, and
That's awesome.
we would have the greatest time. And I'd cry like a baby every time I dropped her at the air, you know,
Can't
would
even
wait
imagine
for
what
the
that's
plane, like
gotta
a
be tough,
baby,
by the way.
man.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it was tough, but we're so close, and he's the greatest kid ever.
That's awesome.
Really is. You know, she got married. Sam,
Oh, yeah? How's he?
good guy. Yeah, he's a great guy.
You don't need me to pay him a visit?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
No, that's another story. But no, but Sam's good people.
That's great.
Ariel told me
Where do they live, by the way?
in Colorado.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Boulder over there?
Well, they're in Louisville, and they just bought their first home. And they're
Ariel, congratulations.
Yeah,
32, first home, married. We got kids on the way soon, probably. Grandpa Bobson, he's ready.
I don't say a word about it.
He's ready.
I hope, Harry, when you watch this, if you watch this, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, I am.
I couldn't love you anymore, no matter what you did.
So the Hmong, so you get the call, Mike. You're
I
hired
get the call,
for
I'm hired.
GSM.
And it wasn't really GSM. It was a team captain.
Okay.
So they had two teams, and that's when, and within probably a couple of years, that's when Marcello came.
Wow. So Marcello walks in.
I remember
Young kid.
Young kid. I remember it, and he was the internet sales manager, and there was someone there before, but
did you have to
couldn't
tell him?
shine his shoes.
Did you have to tell him Daddy's home, or did you guys
Marcello?
have a mutual respect right away?
Mutual respect right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, him no. No.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was a rising star.
Okay, and obviously he rose to good levels. So
he rose to great levels.
So now you're at Jeep for a while. On a previous podcast we heard
I got blown out.
the story of
yes, I got blown out.
What
yes.
happened?
Yes, everybody, I got fired.
But it wasn't because of your performance per se. It was just the industry was tough at the time.
Let me just say this, okay? I love Marcello.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. And I think the feeling's mutual, and his family as well. He was a better man than me.
Wow.
I became a much better manager after I left.
Really? Why?
Because to me, it was more like I was always such a salesy guy. So it was always the sale and the spot and all this stuff. But there's a lot more that goes into it. And Marcello, to his credit, he watched things better than I did. And he deserved it.
Wow.
Yeah, and he deserved it. And it was a great learning experience for me.
So where did you end up going after Jeep?
Well, there was a few places. There was a few places. I worked on the island for a while, GSM, and GM jobs, and just a few places. And then, God.
So we fast forward. Okay.
So I get a call from Marcello. He said that he got a GM gig at Plaza, and he would like me to come aboard to work for him. And I did.
Were you at Brad Benson too?
For a little while.
Okay. With Marcello?
For a couple of months. With Marcello, yeah. He brought me there. Yeah, a couple of months. And then Manhattan. And then I did my last stint in Manhattan.
So you went back to Manhattan again?
Yeah.
So you're at Plaza. Plaza's killing it. You guys come aboard. You're totally changing the game there. Turn that dealership around. You go back to Manhattan, do your last stint there. Marcello decides he's going to open an island dealership, the first one. He calls you right away, or how does that part work?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But there was something that happened at Manhattan that...
what was it?
That really... Well, they had, and Marcello mentioned it. Marcello didn't stay long after they got rid of me, and I think he wasn't happy about it. I think he was... I don't think it hit him the right way, and good for him because it all worked out. I think when you do things that you think are right, if you're in a good place, then they work out for you.
Yes.
But the place after Marcello left
went downhill.
Yeah, it was probably since it's 08 to 13, so probably 5-6 years, and they went through people, and it just went downhill. We were always top 10, usually 3-4 in the zone, and they were getting to the place they were 59th, 62nd.
Whoa.
You had to do a certain amount of volume to get X amount of dollars, right? And they hit it like once in each year in the 2 years prior, I guess, to become something to that effect.
Yeah.
Let me just say, my buddies and my friends in the business and outside the business said I was out of my mind to go back there.
Okay.
It was done. It was finished. It was over. And I said,
what's done is done.
I said, no chance.
You said Mike Bobson's not done here.
This was my way to come back and prove and stick it.
So you walked in, you said, Daddy's home.
No, I had to fix that.
Okay.
I had to fix the way it went down years back.
That was for yourself, by the way.
That was for myself. And whoever went along for the ride of the benefit, good
Sure.
for them. And I think a few did, right? I think a lot of them did. So I call a meeting. Now, half the people, my buddy Al Stevenson was there. Neil Iton, great salesman, was there. Max Tudor was there. Danny Aquino, may he rest in peace, was there. Franco Malello was there. So there was still a bunch of people. Then you had and then half new people.
Mm-hmm.
Call a meeting, and I've never seen more dejected faces in my life. And I said, oh, man. Said this, but yeah, they're really, like, I'm looking at the faces, and I'm like, man, these people. So anyway, work was cut out, and we did it. So fast forward about 2 years. Everything's great, right? Great. So, okay, so now you have three brothers. Now, the older brother, Jeff, is now at Manhattan because they closed Jersey down. So there was no more Jersey, so now you had Patrick, the young one, Dave, the middle one, and Jeff, the older one. Gotcha. Now, Jeff was the one that, no disrespect to you, Jeffrey, but not everybody got along with you, okay? Now, I remember my buddy Al was like, Jeff's here now, but I said, no, it's fine. I get along with everybody. I said, I won't have a problem with Jeff.
Yeah, I have a feeling you don't, but let's go.
So one day, I'm in the office, and so here's a glass office, and right across from me is the used car manager, and then in front of him was Dave's office. So phone call comes in, I answer the phone, and someone had asked about a warranty on their used car. So I said, okay, just give me a moment, please. And Craig, who was the used car manager at the time, I said, just give me a moment. And I said, Craig, do me a favor, pick up this line, somebody with a question on their used car warranty. So Jeff was there. Jeff comes in the office, and he goes, what was that phone call? I said, what do you mean? He goes, the phone call you just, what was it? I said, it was a customer that was looking for warranty information on their used car. And why didn't you handle it? Oof. I said, because that's where there's a used car manager there. He can handle it. And I gave him the call. And I was the GM at this time, right? Start screaming. And I just lost him, man. So he and I just screaming our lungs out.
Wow. In an enclosed office?
Well, we were actually in the hallway at the time. Screaming.
What are you saying back to each other? Give me a couple.
Can I say it on here?
Yeah, give me a couple lines.
Fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
Why? Why were you so mad? What was he saying to you?
He was telling
was he
me
saying you don't know how to do your job.
No, he was telling me that I transferred this call to the used car manager and I shouldn't have done it.
Seems like the right thing to do.
I don't know who.
Used car warranty, used car manager.
That's correct. That's what I thought.
And he didn't.
He didn't see it that way.
And then you let him know.
Yeah, and that was the end. Then I came to Ireland. I would have come there anyway.
Yeah.
Because if Marcello, I would always work.
So you come to, so now we're at Island, right?
So now we're at Island. I actually came on as a sales trainer.
Okay.
To this day, people talk about those classes. We had a lot of fun. I train differently than everybody else.
Okay.
I'm not a big.
Is this a thumbs up, Will? Okay. Cool.
Keep this in. Keep it in. Let's roll. So, I'm not a big do what I say guy. I'm a big you should know why you do what I say. So my training is a little bit different.
You should know.
So I want to give people the education to understand why they should do the things that I ask them to do.
Okay.
And I think it works better that way because then if things change up a little bit, you know why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
And I always love training.
Because a lot of people go, I don't know why I'm doing it. In this case, they can't say that.
That's right.
Right.
Listen, my thing is I really want and always did wanted to teach people and I wanted them to be professional. I wanted them to earn more income, and that's always a great feeling.
Sure.
And in turn, they treat the customers better because they know what they're doing, right? And it was not training about how to screw people. We'll never do that. That's not what we're about. And then within a couple of years, I guess, then Marcello asked me to be
SVP,
VP, and then and the other VP is Adam Perlow. I think you can have him on too.
Sure.
And
the rest is history.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So
good guy.
Before we move on from this,
sure.
Let me just ask you a couple hard-hitting questions.
Gosh.
Do you love the car industry?
Years ago, I would have said no, but now I'll say yeah.
If
It's
you,
all who you're working for and what the gig is. And I can't say that I don't love it because and I don't want to keep saying Marcello's name, but there isn't a thing in the world I wouldn't do for him or he wouldn't do for me.
okay.
So it's a different and we have great
Would
people
you kill
there.
for him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You heard that.
I had
So,
to. I mean, if somebody was in the wrong,
sure.
I have to.
Yeah. So,
Now I hope nobody gets.
if you were to do it all over again, okay,
Yes.
we're gonna go back to 18-year-old Mike Bobson,
Sure.
in shape, guy's crushing it with the girls. You know, he's at
it was
jewelry
fun.
and
I
electronic
was
stores.
a pretty handsome guy in the day.
You know,
I guess.
still are okay. He's at jewelry and electronic stores. Yeah, whatever. Would you do anything differently?
Yes.
Okay, what would you do
Yes, I
differently?
would do it differently. There's one thing I would do differently.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a million things differently, but
Hindsight is 20/20.
yeah, I would have taken music as a kid. Music would have been a big part of my life.
You know, from the moment I met you, it's funny you say that. One of the first conversations we ever had was about headphones. I don't know if you remember this. You probably don't. You know, this is a while ago now. I've been working with the group. Doing the marketing for must be over 5 years by now.
Mhm.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the first conversations we had was about headphones. So I knew from there that you were a music guy. So are you an avid music listener? Do you play music now? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, the I guess the best part really music is the connection I have with Ariel with my daughter in music. We have a very strong connection. Send each other music back and forth.
really?
She has great musical taste. Must be a coincidence.
Yeah.
But so my whole life I would always. It's funny because you think of it as a kid. I was always bang on things, and everybody stop banging on things. So I guess when I was in 40s, I took up percussion. All kinds of congas and stuff and drums and all
I was a
that.
big drummer, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, 15 years I played
That's
the drums.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sometimes it's hard really to practice, right? It's noisy. I enjoyed it.
It is a noisy instrument. You know, that's the
It's a
issue with
noisy
drums. My son wants a drum set for his birthday. He's turning 7 soon. And I said, okay, I'll get you a drum set. My wife's like, are you sure you want to get him a drum set? Like, it's going to be a little loud in the house. I said, if he wants to play the drums, who am I to hold back, his what he wants to do, So I think I settled out I'm going to get him an electronic drum set. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
it's a good
good because
idea.
then he can listen with his headphones. You can listen to music at the
That's
same time.
awesome.
So,
That's awesome.
okay, so you're playing the percussion drums.
Yeah, I mean, and in Manhattan, there was a few guys. They had a band.
Oh, boy.
So Paul Karakinian was a great guitar player, and he had a bunch of guys, Eddie and John. Oh man, I was just talking about him the other day. It was a great drummer, and they had a good band. Me, I was a budding percussionist, but they were kind enough to let me play with them, and we had a couple of gigs at the bar.
You loved it?
I can't even describe how much I loved it.
Wow.
And then it's funny because on one of the gigs, there was I'll never forget. There was a guy from Mitsubishi. I guess he was drunk dancing, and I'm playing percussion, and just the feeling of moving people for me was just
Sure.
it was indescribable.
Wow.
So fast forward, one day I'm with Ariel in the car, and she asked me a question. She says, "Dad, what would you do if you could do anything?" I don't know, my voice cracking. What would you do if you could do anything? I remember a conversation like it's today. It was 7, 8 years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago. And I said, I would be a musician. And for some reason at that point, I said, I'm going to learn guitar. And that's what I did.
So, do you play guitar now?
I do, poorly, but yeah.
Guitar is a tough instrument to learn, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And I sang like poorly.
Do
but
you sing?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
Does your
depends what
wife
you consider
does
it.
your wife enjoy it?
She does.
Yeah, at least she says she does.
She does.
Yeah.
She does. No, listen, she's always been supportive.
Yeah,
we're
that's great.
supportive of each other, and we would never get in the way of each other's happiness.
That's
so
fantastic.
that's why I think we get along so well.
Okay, so that's something that you would potentially change. So,
Yeah.
another thing that I learned about you and I want to get into a little bit is,
Uh-oh.
you seem to have certain beliefs. about a lot of different topics.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I would almost say that they could be considered conspiracy theories. Now, I'm not going to use that term because
You already did, but go ahead.
okay. So,
No edits on this, guys?
no edits on this. So, I'm going to ask you a set of questions here, okay?
Sure. Ask away, buddy.
Do you believe that we landed on the moon?
I would say probably.
Okay.
I wouldn't say for sure.
You wouldn't say for sure.
I would say probably. I always think of that Family Guy skit. You saw that one, right?
Yes.
Awesome skit.
It's a great show.
The guy comes out of astronaut comes out of I guess a recording studio, whatever, and the guy's out there. I don't remember who it was. Peter. I don't think it was Peter.
No.
Guy's out there and says, "Hey, wait a minute! Aren't you the astronaut? Aren't you supposed to be on the moon?" And the guy starts explaining, and he just hits him in the head with a shovel, throws him in the trunk.
But you do believe it?
I would say more likely than not. Yeah.
Okay. More likely than
Not
not.
100% though.
Sure. Now, recently we had an earthquake.
We did.
In New York, which is rare. Do you believe that it is possible that earthquake was caused by something other than Mother Nature?
At this point, probably not.
Okay.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Totally fine. Okay. So, tell
But
me
there's
another
other
thing.
good stuff you'll hit on, I'm sure.
So tell me another thing. Right now we're
the third's a charm, so go ahead.
we're
man.
having a conversation, right? Do you think it's possible that we're not actually even having this conversation in like a real life form, but this is more like a simulation?
Yes. Yes, sir.
You think we could be in a simulation as we speak, and this is
Absolutely.
part of the simulation? Somebody like
Absolutely.
controlling what we're doing right now?
Well, I don't know if because it's funny. We could get into this now, right?
Yeah.
I was watching something. I forgot
Mm-hmm.
who it was, but they were talking about AI, and they said so. So the whole thing is, you know what Moore's law is, right?
Please explain it.
Okay, Moore's law means every computing power doubles every 18 months. Okay, so if you think about it, look where we've gone. 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
The things that can be done on computer,
It's wild.
and you have Sims, and you have and then with the addition of AI, they say they can actually make the beings in the simulation conscious. They could give them consciousness to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, so if you look at the advancement, isn't it pretty so what is that thing? And I know Musk says it. I forgot the guy's name. But they say there are three possibilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Possibility one is we become extinct before we can ever simulate the universe.
Okay.
Number two is we never care to do it. Number three is we're almost certainly in a simulation.
And you believe in three?
I believe there's a good possibility. I'm not saying for sure.
Now, I just want to dig into this a little deeper.
I'll bet you do.
So when you say in a simulation, just explain what you mean by that.
So, you're making me like an authority on simulation theory?
No, I want to know what you mean by in a simulation.
Well, if you look at computing power, right?
You keep going back to computing power.
Because that's what it's all about.
Okay.
It's all about computing power, because computing power would be what would give any entity, the ability to simulate a universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's computing power. And just looking where we've gone, and Moore's law, where we've gone in 40 years, what we can do, it's amazing. So who's to say that didn't happen previously, and then somebody created a universe, right, a software, and then AI actually made the beings conscious. And then what they say then is that as you do that, you get all these, taking his glasses off, guys. Look out. Man, you're pretty.
I just want to be clear on
You're
something.
pretty.
I just want to be clear on something. And I needed to look you dead in the eyes without the glasses for this.
Do I need to take
believe
my contacts
that
out?
it is no, and neither does the person behind the simulation
Mhm.
need to take your contacts out.
Mm-hmm.
You believe that it is likely, you used the term likely, that we are living in an alternate universe than people think.
Well, let me just say this to you. I don't know if it's likely that it's happening, but I will say this. People talk about the nature of reality and all this stuff, which has always been fascinating for me. I don't know what it is, but I will tell you this. I think whatever we think it is, it isn't. That's what I'll say. Whatever we think reality is, I doubt that's what it is.
Now, are there people out there that have a much vaster knowledge, like an actual knowledge of this, and they know what's going on, and they're potentially the ones controlling it at a higher level?
Well, I don't know if they would be. They'd be in a different, certainly in a different reality or a different universe. I don't think anyone in ours would, but I don't know.
COVID-19, coronavirus, lab or an accident?
I don't know.
What is your opinion?
You know what my opinion is.
So tell it. Tell it to all of us.
I think it's. I think there's a good chance it came from a lab.
Yeah, I do agree there.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance.
I mean, I think I almost think it couldn't have not come from a lab, actually. You know, the more that I looked into it myself. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist per se.
No.
But it also could have been an accident at a lab. And then the person was like, oh, boy.
Of course, it could have been an accident.
Oh, boy. Like, I don't
well,
know.
when you look at that whole gain of function stuff, and it supposedly that virus would not have been created by nature.
A lot of people got very wealthy from COVID-19.
A lot of people got very wealthy.
You know, and a lot of different things happened. So,
Yeah.
okay. So we will end that part there. Now, let's talk about, you know, we didn't really talk about Island. We talked about your career,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
what
true.
you did.
Let's
You know,
talk about it.
I do want to discuss too, obviously Island is the presenting sponsor of the podcast and you happen to be the VP.
Yep.
You know, in your honest opinion, you know, what does differentiate Island from other auto groups? Is there anything, you know, you might just say no, you know?
No, 1,000%.
Okay. And what
1,000%.
is it?
Well, listen, it always comes, you know, I've been in the business a long time. It always comes from the top.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's funny, and I remember Marcello and I, when we were, well, captains and even GSMs, that if the set, because we did alternate Sundays, right? And what's funny is the last week of the month, you didn't take your day off. So if the days worked, I don't know, unfortunate enough for that Sunday to fall, Marcello and I sometimes would work 20 to 21 days in a row.
Wow.
And that's not easy.
No, not at all.
And we didn't close at 9 o'clock. We closed whenever the last person left.
Wow.
So it could have been 11, 11:30, 12, 10:30, whatever it was. And we would, and again, we became very good friends very quickly. It was just great to see, you know, start a family, and it's just, these are things you remember. These are things that mean stuff, you know. But we would say if any of us, either of us are fortunate enough to become a dealer, we will never do this to our employees. And he never did.
Yeah, Sunday's closed.
Never did.
It's funny. I actually always wondered why it was closed on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, that's you know, listen, Marcello believes in the quality of life for the employees. But that's only part of it.
Okay.
The other part of it is the customers, you know, and we have, so at Island, we have an owner's email address.
I've heard of this.
Because what happens is, you know, you look for, you go to manager's jobs, you interview with the dealer or whatever it is, and they always tell you, we take care of our customers, we take care of our customers, we take care of our customers. Sometimes, some don't, we do. You know, so if customer for any reason contacts owner's email, you know, either the owners or two VPs, Adam, myself, will jump on that email, and we'll either have the manager or one of the head managers of that facility reach out and fix it, or we'll do it ourselves.
And that's not common of dealerships.
No, I've done it on Sundays, and so is Marcello and Adam. We've done it on Sundays.
Are other dealerships, you know, competing or not, Do you feel like that they are as customer service oriented?
Absolutely not.
They just want to sell the
I
car.
just want to sell the car. You know, our philosophy is a little bit different. And you know what? When you ask me if I love the business, and I guess now I'm putting it together,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the reasons now is that I do feel proud about what we do. And I'm a big karma guy. I try to do the right thing, and
Yeah, no, it's
it,
it's a shady industry,
it can
you
be.
know,
It
and
can be.
I think you're feeling like you guys are, Island Auto Group is trying to kind of shake that notion a little bit
Yeah.
and do things differently.
I don't think we're trying. We're doing it.
Right. Sure.
We're doing it. And you know what's funny is the customers, and they say the same thing all the time when you reach out to them. They said, I can't believe you reach out to me so quickly.
Right. It's like a celebrity reaching out to them.
Well, it's, you think about business that you do.
Yeah.
How many times are you know, I have I have a funny story. I don't know if you want to hear about a Chinese restaurant that I did business with. Like I will not bash anybody on a review just because of all the stuff that we do and all the stuff that we deal with.
It's very detrimental.
I just in my heart I can't do it. But if I would have done it, it would have been
restaurant?
it would have been this time.
Where was it?
When we were living on the island, on Long Island, there was a Chinese restaurant that we had gone to,
What was
Indy
it
and
called?
I don't want to say the name. I don't really want to say the name, but we've been going there 15 years at that point. So they had a location. Then they decided to open two, and then they closed one, and they had a new location. To make a long story short, one day, Indy and I got some Chinese food to bring home. Now, I know the owner. I would come in. He'd play with my watch, and I would wear a nice watch, and I wear no watch.
Play with your watch.
He would look at it and, always say hello, and I always said, wow, what a great host he is, right? So we get our order, and part of the order was mushu chicken. So we get the food home.
Love a good mushu.
Love a good mushu. This wasn't. It was burnt.
Oof.
So Indy says to me, this mushu was burnt. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I'll eat it anyway. But it was burnt. So the way I see business and the way I think of it, and I felt I'm big into loyalty, right? And I felt some loyalty to this guy in the business. I've been going there so long.
Yeah.
I said, let me call the guy and just tell him, I don't want anything. Right? So I call him up. And I just say, I got him on the phone, and I said, just to let you know, the mushu was a little burnt. There was like a burnt flavor to it. And I said, I don't want anything, but I'm just saying, maybe take a look. Whatever happened. Okay. That was it. And the guy, and actually, no, I didn't speak with the owner. I spoke with one of the people, and he said, yeah, next time you come in, we'll take care of you, whatever. I said, that's okay. I just want you guys to take a look in the kitchen.
You're not looking for mushu.
I'm not looking for anything. I'm just looking to help another business person, right? Fast forward a few months. I said, all right, let's give mushu chicken another shot. And we're going to move for Chinese, and it was a great restaurant. So I call up, and I order the mushu chicken.
And you said, can you please
And
make
the
sure
guy
it's not burnt?
No.
Oof.
The guy says to me, are you the person that called up with that mushu? Now, this was months before. You're the person that called up with that mushu. I said, yeah, it was a little burnt, whatever. I said, I don't want anything. I'm not looking for anything. I didn't even know what he was talking about. He goes, hold on a minute. Puts the owner on the phone. And I said, yeah, I want to get some mushu chicken. He says, you complained about it last time. I said, it was burnt. And he goes, and it sounds like a joke. No mushu. Order something else. You can't order mushu. And I'm looking at you in the car. I goes, I said, this guy am I being punked?
No mushu for you.
Basically. A few words made a change, but yeah, no mushu. Couldn't order mushu. And I said, do you know who I am? You know who I am, right? He goes, yeah, I know you are. I said, okay. So now I'm getting I've gotten a lot mellower over the years.
You got heat coming though.
I've got a lot mellower. When you get older, you either turn into a lunatic or you get a little more mellow, right? So I said to Indy, we're driving over there.
Oh.
Drive over
We're
there.
about to get in.
Because I'm saying,
mushu mania.
listen, it's not a matter of fisticuffs. But it's a matter of, does this guy really know who I am? This is just, I'm bugging out.
Yes.
So I said, wait in the car, I'll be right out.
Oof.
I go in, I see the owner. I said, that was me on the phone, right? He goes, yeah. I said, are you seriously going to tell me that I can't? I've been going here for 15 years. You're seriously telling me I can't order mushu chicken because you burnt it the first time and I don't want anything back from you? And I called you to try to let you know, hey, this came out of your kitchen. You're telling me I can't order mushu? He goes, yeah, I can use I
Go
can
ahead.
talk, right?
Yeah.
So the restaurant's full. And I just look at him, I go, you're a fucking asshole. And I walk out the door.
Wow.
And I told Indy, I said, I can't even believe what just happened. Like,
I mean, that's a legit. I mean, you couldn't even make that story up. You got soup Nazi'd
but
on mushu, by the
I
way.
sure did. And
No mushu for you.
I didn't write a bad review.
Wow.
I couldn't do it. I will never gone back there. And obviously now I moved to Staten Island, which is great. Would never go back there again.
He probably felt that you disrespected the mushu, okay? And he probably felt that there was no way that they could have burned it, that your taste must have been off.
I don't care what he thought. I've been coming to this guy for 15
You're the
years.
customer, by the way. So
And
back
if I
to
said the mushu's burnt and I didn't
burnt.
want 2 cents,
customer's
I didn't
always
want
right.
anything.
Wow.
But how do you run a business like this? And I said to her, you serious now? You just have cameras around here?
That is some story, I got to say.
Crazy stuff. But
Have you found a good mushu in Staten Island?
actually, I guess I have some kind of, I don't know.
Wait a second. Hold on. Time out.
Maybe I haven't got mushu for a while.
Time out.
I got mushued out.
I think you might have a mushu issue.
I have a mushu, yes. I've been mushued. I've been mushued, yeah.
I mean, it's just funny because maybe the first owner wasn't wrong.
Maybe he
you
wasn't.
just don't have the palate for mushu.
I don't know. The 42,000 times I ate it before was fine, so I don't know.
Things change as
Maybe
you get
it's
older.
me.
Things change.
Maybe mushu happens to taste burnt. I should try it again and see.
By the way,
I should try it again.
I want you to order mushu in the next couple of weeks. Text me or call me and say I had the mushu and it was good to go.
You got a deal, buddy.
Okay.
You got a deal.
So just to kind of put a wrap on things here. So very successful career in the automotive industry. I'm not sure how long you intend to go. Obviously I'm sure you have years and years left. Wish you were a musician deep down inside. Anything
Not as a full-time career, though.
Sure.
I mean, that would be cool, but that's not really what.
Anything else, though, that you would like to communicate just in general to anybody who might be listening, employees, customers, etc.?
Yes. What I would like to say is if you want to do business with some good people that really care about you and are there for you, come visit us at Island Auto Group. You'll get great value. You'll get great service. And we're community-driven for sure. Marcello does a lot of stuff for the community.
Can they ask for you directly?
And Josh.
Can they ask for you
The other
directly?
Always.
Yeah, you're always available.
Always available.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you
Always
coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I think a lot of people learned. We certainly learned not to mess with your Chinese order. We learned, certain thoughts you have on certain topics of conspiracy. An amazing, obviously, come-up story that is not even close to done. Happy birthday once again to your daughter.
Thank you. That's nice.
Yeah, we will. We'll see you soon.
Listen, Jeremy, I appreciate the time you spend with me, and I really think, and I told you this before, and I don't say things I don't mean. I think you do, and I think you're very natural at this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.